It's February 22nd, 2015, and we want to know, did his recent time with Aquaman turn Damian into the greatest fisherman ever?
What does Hitler have in common with a bear in the woods?
All this and more is coming up next. It's Season 2, Ep 20 of DCR, starting now.
This day, we rescue a world from mysticism and tyranny, and usher in a future brighter than anything we can imagine.
Look! Up in the sky! It's a bird!
It's a plane!
It's
Distress Citizens Radio.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to that hour of babbling about DC Comics that we like to call DCR. I, of course, remain your host, Sean Lamont, the exhausted Sean Lamont, comic book reader extraordinaire, and luckily, I am not alone, or else it would probably go about 30 minutes, and then you would just hear because I am joined by Mr. Brian Blind, the eminence of comics. Hello, sir.
Hey, Sean, how's it going?
I'm okay. That's all we got.
Yeah.
Kelly's predisposed, and Beth is dealing with the noise machine you hear in the background known as Liam. So it's just going to be the two of us, which is A-okay with me because it's going to be a little bit of a quicker pace because I was pulling an all-nighter with work last night. I got to go to bed at 6 a.m.
Oh, that's cool.
Yay!
Totally cool.
But as such, before we jump into what we're going to do, Brian, what should the people be aware of?
They should be aware of spoilers.
They should be
all
aware.
the books that came out in the New 52 from the past week.
Yes.
Maybe they should read them before they listen to this.
That would probably be a good idea if they don't want to be spoiled, because that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about plot beats, storylines, character development, etc., etc. You guys know the spiel, but you are now safely forewarned.
Every episode could be someone's first, so that's why we say it every time.
Exactly. We don't want to throw this on someone and they're just like, I had no idea, no. And then we get hate mail. I don't like hate mail. I don't like it. So, as such, consider yourself forewarned. We are going to kind of gloss over questions. As I said, a little bit of a quicker pace this week.
There's a bunch of issues, so.
Yes. So, and I'm exhausted.
I'm going to laugh if we somehow make it in under an hour, though.
Well, I don't think we're going to make it in an hour, but.
We never.
Yeah, exactly. Every time we say that, it goes like 3. So, so as such, let's stop the dilly-dallying and move on into this week's books.
All right, I believe I'm starting us off with Justice League number 39.
You threw me off there. You went straight from yawn into recording.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm a man of many talents.
Quite.
So, it's the end of the, what's this called? The Amazovirus?
Amazovirus. Because it's amazing.
It's amazing. Makes you fabulous. So, the Amazovirus, last issue, we start off the Justice League after sitting in cots for 5 issues. Finally got up and got back into action, but they're zombies.
Yeah, they were kind of taken over by the sentient disease. The Amazovirus is apparently sentient.
Yeah.
Or
yeah,
something.
like all the viruses that can't communicate together in like a hive mind and control everyone.
Fair enough.
So, it's the Justice League and Patient Zero fighting off against, Wonder Woman and, Superman with Lex Luthor, who's got a containment suit on. Yeah, so they're fighting with each other and fighting the zombie Justice League. And Superman and Lex Luthor are forced to work on an antidote together because Superman had already been exposed to the virus once by Lex Luthor, and his body already created, you mean antibodies for that.
He didn't have an Amazo party after he got the disease?
No, he did
Invite
not.
all of his other superhero friends over for a sleepover. So
maybe there's a time maybe it was that time that Lois Lane showed up dressed as Wonder Woman.
That could make sense. A little delirious that day.
Yes. Captain Cold, who's been working as the head of Lex Luthor's security, shows up, and we get a Captain Cold Wonder Woman team up that's pretty awesome.
Actually,
because it's something that we've never seen before, ever.
They're having so much fun with one another too. It's so weird.
Like Captain Cold's like, "Oh man, Wonder Woman, my sister loves you," and she's like, "Isn't she also a hardened criminal?" Well, yeah, but still, girl power, that kind of thing.
She had posters. What can I say? I mean, she wasn't like following your example or anything.
Yeah. After he got that whole, it's like, I'm actually evil, meh, like make a Avril Lavigne face thing he did a couple issues ago. I hope he starts changing his mind about being good, because I like good Captain Cold.
Really? I kind of want him to steal like the most innocuous things from Lex Luthor and the Justice League just to show that the Rogues could do it. Like at the end, he has like, I don't know, a eye hole from Wonder Woman's corset or whatever. Just little innocuous things like, oh, I have a lug nut off of the Batmobile, and they just have them on the trophy counter there of the Rogues. Like, yep, we ripped them all off.
Yeah. This is a feather off of like some evil headdress that we found up in the watchtower in the trophy room. It turns out that you can freeze the virus and slow it down, so Captain Cold manages to save the day and humiliate the Flash in the process.
Yep.
Because Superman hadn't been using his cold breath because the Patient Zero was mimicking everything he was doing, so he didn't want to give him another thing to do. And it turns out, that would have slowed him down. So Captain Cold saves the day.
Yay, Captain Cold!
Yes, and he also figured out, it's like, hey, wait a minute. I've frozen Flash before, but it's never been that easy.
Yeah.
Come on.
Because he did just kind of walk out of the street and go, pew, I win, yay.
Yeah. Yes, he takes a picture with his cell phone so he can send it to the Rogues. That's great.
Yes.
Look what I did to the Flash.
This Justice League thing is awesome.
Yep. So Superman stops holding back using his powers and freezes everyone, and they make an antidote with Superman's blood. Hooray! Everyone's saved.
Huzzah.
Huzzah. And then Patient Zero, in his, like, cold prison cells that they just had left over from, Mr. Freeze or something.
Sure.
To, keep the virus down, because he was the only person that couldn't be cured by the virus. He morphs into what looks like a Lex Luthor version of the classic Amazo, so he can one day infect him when he gets free from his cold jail.
Yes, because since Lex Luthor created the virus, it has like some sort of blood vendetta against its creator, or at least wants to bring him into the fold of the hive mind or something like that. But he does seem to have a mat on for Lex Luthor and really wants to infect him.
Yeah.
He's not amazing enough. He needs more Amazo.
Gonna cough on all your food.
But there's a little scene at the end as well, isn't there? Where they all go back to the Watchtower and we get a re-addition to the Justice League.
Oh, yeah, I completely forgot about that. Yeah, Hal Jordan shows back up.
Yes.
Like, hey, everybody!
Hey, where's Batman? I want to see him being all ticked off that I'm back again. Yeah, let's do it.
Peep the light show, everybody.
I really liked that last page splash. I thought it was really fun. Just him being very happy that he's going to annoy his fellow teammates. Mm-hmm. When did the whole Batman Hal Jordan, I guess, rivalry start?
It goes back to when he became Parallax and destroyed Coast City.
Okay,
and
then
so
when
Batman,
he came back,
and then when he came back,
everyone
everyone's like, "Oh, hey, Green Lantern's back." He's like, "Do you remember the genocide? No,
millions of people dead.
Still not too keen on you there, Green Lantern."
Okay, I have read that. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, obviously in the New 52, they've kind of toned it back to just maybe he doesn't like him. Like,
sure.
At least they give a good explanation for it, and
in one of the earlier arcs, it was that Batman wanted to put together a plan, and he's just like ho ho and charging in all the time, a la the cartoon with the "Don't worry, Green Lantern will handle this," and he just gets pummeled by a bunch of parademons.
Yes, still my most favorite Green Lantern thing ever. I could watch that GIF on repeat.
But yeah, I was just curious if I had picked it up from the start or if there was something prior that maybe I didn't know about.
Yeah, it started off as that, and it's kind of maybe just switched off to like we're both regular people with technically no superpowers, so they kind of have that common bond, but they do things differently, so it just rubs each other the wrong way. So
okay, fair enough. Well, I'm going to move us on because Green Lantern ended there. I have Green Lantern New Guardians number 39. And what we had going on there was, Kyle Rayner? That's his name? Yeah. I don't know why I just had a mind blank there and I was like, am I right? Am I wrong? Why am I doubting myself? Kyle Rayner had picked up the godlike powers of the, what do they call it? The life equation?
Yeah.
I don't know why. I'm so fuzzy today, man. I am so fuzzy today. So he had actually gotten tossed into the source wall, leaned up against the wall from the inside, and the life equation had kind of come inside of him, and he has the powers of a god. Unfortunately, he has a subconscious that it keeps using these powers to do things. For example, turning his current girlfriend into the physical form of his dead ex-girlfriend, causing a little bit of strife in that relationship, understandably so. In this case, though, his subconscious has used this godlike power to create a gentleman, I guess I'll say, by the name of Oblivion, who is basically Nega Kyle Rayner.
Yeah, that's the easiest way to put it.
His dark opposite. And as these two are fighting in this issue, it's coming out that Oblivion is telling him, I am the safeguard that your subconscious created. Subconsciously, you understand you have too much power, that you're going to, in your efforts to fix the universe, you will eventually kind of become a totalitarian ruler because, oh, something's bad over there, just wave my hand. Now those people get along. I'll just overwrite them and they're happy now. And, oh, this needs fixed. I'll just fix that over there. And eventually it will become a universe in your image. And that's not what you want. So you created me to stop you from doing that. And, as these two are fighting, Carol Ferris, his current girlfriend, is sent off to find reinforcements, and the young lady from the Future's End issue. Did you read that one?
I glanced at it.
Yeah, the one that was in 5 years later from this point is hunting down Kyle Rayner to stop him from doing just that, using his godlike powers to kind of fix the universe. This is her home planet, and she's there helping them fight, even though she doesn't really care for the whole totalitarian thing and the subconscious god power stuff. So,
yeah.
Eventually, Kyle Rayner is overrun. And Oblivion is standing over him gloating, saying, there is now nothing, there is Oblivion. And then a voice comes from afar as we hear, you are wrong, sir, for there is hope. And St. Walker comes in to save the day. He's actually alongside the new Guardians, the God Slayers. Do you remember them?
Yeah.
The army guys and that big brutish guy that they were palling around with for a while that was...
Oh, yeah, from the beginning of
Yeah, it's basically all the characters from this arc that has been, this creative team and what they've done are coming in now to help him out against Oblivion. It's a nice little wrap up for this issue, or I guess arc, since this one isn't continuing on after Convergence.
Yeah.
It was fun. I enjoyed it. Plus, it had a lot of snark. You can't go wrong with snark.
Yes.
So, moving on. What do you got, Brian?
All right, the Multiversity, the Mastermen, #1.
Should have been number one, but I wanted to get the...
Yeah, but it's so hard to do the Multiversity issues in our format anyway, so...
It is. I just don't like leading off with it because it's a very complicated thing to explain right off the top of the show. So we just kind of nudge it in there somewhere in the first half.
We've been peeking through all the different multiversal worlds of the DC universe and just kind of peeking in and seeing what things are going on there. And apparently there's this big gigantic multiversal threat that's kind of infecting all of the worlds. And we saw in the first issue that there were some superheroes that banded together to combat it, and we've just been seeing how this threat is affecting everyone else.
Fair enough.
Little glimpses of everyone. So we are on Earth X or Earth 10. You like X. Numbers instead of Roman numerals.
Yes.
And it is the world where Hitler won World War II, took over, and that's where, Uncle Sam and the Freedom Fighters fight.
That's a pretty common alternate world.
Yeah. They went sliders, they went there like at least 5 times.
Yes.
Yeah. So, the most important thing to know about the Mastermen is, Hitler poops on the toilet while reading Superman comics.
And that's it. Enjoy.
And let's see,
Masterman.
what's next? Batman, So we get the story of what happens when Superman crashes in Nazi Germany instead of rural Kansas, and Hitler uses him as his Superman, his Overman, to win World War II and take over the world.
World War II.
Take over the world. Yeah. So, as we get closer to our time, we get a story of Overman starting to have, bad dreams about Lord Broken of the Gentry, the crooked house with 1 million eyeballs peeking out of the windows.
Yep. A little bit more overt in this one than some of the previous issues.
Yeah. And he's starting to doubt the whole being a Nazi thing is the right thing to do.
I don't know if it's doubting the whole Nazi thing, because aren't they living in a utopian society right now? It's just built on the backs of that horrible time frame in the 40s. So he's like, is it really worth?
There's a lot of themes in this.
Yes, yeah. So it's actually a very compelling character if you really take a step back on him.
Mm-hmm. So his German Justice League does not care for him doubting himself one bit,
including Unterwasserman.
Yes, including Unterwasserman. Uncle Sam and his freedom fighters are able to strike back at this moment of weakness thanks to evil Nazi Earth Doctor Savannah. He's really evil because he spells doctor with a K.
Yes.
Yeah. And his parallel world technology. So they assault Germany during a Wagner concert, in a scene that is right out of Inglourious Bastards, and no one seems to like they're right or wrong in this, and Overman is sad as his world dies.
Yeah, because the freedom fighters seemed very terrorist in their actions. I understand,
I mean, I know one of Uncle Sam's thing is always says he can project gigantic, visions of himself wherever he needs to go. And it flat out looks like that weird part of Inglourious Bastards where, spoiler alert, you realize that you've been watching a United States propaganda film the entire time.
Yes.
Yeah. Really, echoes that quite a bit.
Still really, really compelling, as I said, as far as
there's a lot of compelling
characters.
stuff in there. I would probably say this is maybe my least favorite of the Multiversity
Really?
issues. Yeah, it's at the bottom for me. Still not a bad issue in any way.
I would put it pretty solid in the middle for me. It's not the best, it's not the worst though, but I don't think I've really gotten a worst out of all of
exactly.
these.
Like if I had to say which one's my least favorite, it'd be this one, but that's not saying much.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. It's like, it's only
like,
a 9 on the scale.
if my next least favorite is the the Society of Superheroes, like, oh man, what a terrible company to be in the bottom with,
It's a problem with ranking things.
I know.
It's very difficult when it's all solid and you're just like, well, I mean, technically it's the least compelling, but it's good.
And the next month it's like, so even if this was, kind of universally the least interesting one, next month is
the wrap up, isn't it?
Is Ultra Comics.
Yeah.
So we get that before we get Multiversity number 2.
Okay, gotcha.
So, and that's the one that they've been seeding for the entire length of the
technically,
storyline.
Ultra Comics should be our Earth.
So it's our Earth, but it's a comic book that Grant Morrison claims is actually alive.
Yes.
And he's created the first real superhero. Yeah, we'll see what the heck that is.
Why not? If it's all, he's very big on the whole, imagination is creative. He's literally creating things, just not in this plane of existence.
Yeah.
So if he does create a comic book that exists in our world that has a superhero, technically he's invented a superhero in our world.
Yeah.
By proxy.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to Batman Superman number 19. So, Batman, Superman, and Supergirl get all tiny thanks to the Atom and investigate the bottle city of Kandor to find Superman's Joker that they've been fighting off that's been killing everything with an S symbol on it.
Using what?
Using the actual citizens of Kandor, the microscopic citizens of Kandor, as living bullets.
Yes.
Yes.
Which is just great. Such a great turn.
They find out that the city has always hated the L family, and everyone attacks them. And it turns out the brand new supervillain that we've never seen before and hates Superman is pre-existing villain Zaydu, the Phantom King.
Yep.
Which, honestly, I really can't get that mad because Zaydu, the Phantom King, is awesome.
He really is.
So if you want to build a little bit more backstory besides, Ghost Mummy from Krypton, hey, nothing wrong with that. Maybe some of Superman's, second or third cousins have been infected with the living death, and he's going to fight them in the next issue.
Well, it's his aunt.
His aunt and his cousin?
Yeah,
I think.
It would be his aunt and his cousin, I believe, that are there. But he has family again.
Yeah.
Which will be nice. He'll have to shrink down all the time to go visit them. It'll make bringing stuff over to eat really easy, though, because it'll just be like, hey, Adam, just don't shrink this as much.
Yes.
I'm Superman. I'll just carry this giant watermelon in and everyone's happy. I
Cook
really
this tiny pheasant, but keep it at least turkey size.
I actually have really liked this arc as far as the Superman actually dealing with Batman on his level, I guess. Because Batman seems very cynical about this whole thing, like, oh yeah, I deal with this all the time. Crazy people murdering people all the time. I know you get your whole space threats, and you're like, ooh, look at this giant monster that's attacking Tokyo.
Thing that I've got to lift up, maybe.
Yeah.
Really good at lifting things, Superman. Throwing stuff into the sun, pushing things into portals.
Now you have to deal with a psychological threat on top of it, and it's actually a nice little joint between those two characters where Batman's kind of showing him his world, kind of.
Yeah.
It's a nice little story. So moving on, I have Superman Wonder Woman in the team up book. Superman's just palling around with everyone this week.
Yeah.
He's having a good time. And in Superman Wonder Woman, they were dealing with both Cersei and her new creation to threaten the pair of them, Magog. Oh, Magog, he's there. So
Ermagog.
In this case, though, Cersei ends up entombing Wonder Woman and absconding away with her back to her headquarters.
Putting her in like a weird witchblade cocoon.
Yeah, it was like rock or something, just kind of wrapped her up in it and then goes, ha-ha, and they teleport away, leaving Superman holding this suspension bridge together while Magog just kind of keeps punching him in the face and yelling at him. And we do find out that Magog was actually he was like an 8-year-old during the first Darkseid attack when Apocalypse came the first time 5 years earlier. And his parents were slowly killed. I mean, they were taken away in front of him. His family was all taken away from him, and he blames the Justice League for not saving his family and leaving them to die. And in this case, he is now punching, and eventually Superman's able to knock him down, use his eyes to weld the bridge back together, and then just basically beats up Magog, takes his staff, snaps it in half, and it teleports him.
Okay,
over.
you're missing. Let's pause it really quick.
Sure.
Because you're missing the most important part of this.
Am I?
Which is the beloved irony of Magog screaming, "Let the cables go," as Superman is holding the gigantic cables of the bridge together.
Okay, there's irony there.
Because he's a cable ripoff.
Oh, jeez.
And I'm like, they're doing that on purpose. I'm going to smile at you, Tomasi.
Let's all put the cable behind us now.
Yeah.
But he ends up snapping it and gets teleported over to Cersei's island as well. We get this little, break scene, I guess you could say, a little interstitch scene where it's someone kind of calling the shots on the initial start of this whole thing where
the weird random supervillains, yeah.
Yeah, where it was Atomic Skull and Major Disaster.
Yeah, Major Disaster and Atomic Skull are here for no reason. They're there for a reason.
Yeah. Well, whoever this is had sent them there, and he doesn't want them to talk why they were there, so he's calling up Multiplex to go take care of this whole thing. Well, no, Multiplex has already infiltrated the prison, and he's telling someone else that just look for the guards that all look the exact same.
Yes.
They work for me. Is this Calculator?
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's what I was getting as well, just from the little rap sheet that he had in front of him, kind of the information of everyone he was talking to, including their next of kin, their addresses, their email addresses, just everything. So if this is Calculator coming back, I'm like, yeah. So let's go back to the story here where Superman shows up while Cersei is scolding Wonder Woman, and we get a little bit of a history lesson here. Back when the Amazons were doing their whole, let's procreate by going on to other ships and kind of appropriating by force some seed to get ourselves pregnant. I'm navigating the shoals here. In this case, whenever they would have a kid, if it was a boy, not Hephaestus, but Hippolyta had made a deal with Cersei that she would trade all of the male-borns to Cersei so that she could turn them into animal men, her bestiomorphs, or whatever we're calling them now, animen, I guess. And in exchange, she would enchant all of the weapons of the Amazons. Unfortunately, Hippolyta, well, I guess probably fortunately in this case, Hippolyta kind of turned away on that deal and ended up trading all of the male children to Hephaestus for his weapons instead, and Cersei feels a little bit spurned by this whole thing. Hey, we had a deal, what the heck? And is now going to take that out on Wonder Woman, because Hippolyta, of course, was turned into a clay statue, and then they left it out in the rain, and it melted, and that'll actually play a part here in our next issue, I think. So, while they're having this little argument, though, Wonder Woman is able to break free and is about to attack Cersei, but unfortunately, magic, kind of a weakness for Superman. She kind of tosses him back into her little sorcery pit thing and turns him into an Animan as well. He gains bestial properties, it looks like, but he's all rage mode and he's about to attack Wonder Woman. Poor Wonder Woman, dealing with animal Superman.
Yep.
Super Animal Man, Animal Man, Sapanimal, that's what I'm gonna call it.
Okay. I do like how Cersei was completely belittling Superman. She's like, "Oh, you found us. That's nice. You probably found us by accident, right? You snapped this thing together and just teleported you to me. Yeah, okay, yeah. Good job.
I'm just gonna
good job looking into that.
Make fun of you because you're a guy as well, and haha. Now go sit in a cage somewhere. I'll turn you into an animal man.
Yeah, Animal Man,
Animal Man. But that's gonna take us into Wonder Woman number 39 as well. Still enjoying it. I know. Okay. I know. Back off.
Oh, I'm doing nothing.
Where they had left off was they were exploring a issue that was happening under a volcano. They were trying to figure out what happened to all these villages because floods had been wiping them out, and they found out that there was these weird signals coming from beneath a volcano. They sent Superman down with his mining gear because Superman needs spelunking gear to go explore these
sell
places.
that action figure.
And what they find underneath this volcano, they find Superman. He's A-okay. And they also find all of the villagers from these villages that have been destroyed are there dead, cocooned up to this race of bug people that have set up shop underneath a volcano. and have been consuming the people to keep their swarm alive. Yay!
Bug people.
Wonder Woman does go berserker mode because of all the kids that were killed during it, and she's about to kill the speaker of the bug people when Superman kind of pulls her off and goes, whoa, let's cool our jets here. We'll haul them back to the watchtower and talk to him there and figure out what's going on. So they do that, and while they're up there, Batman goes, I thought this whole God of War thing wasn't gonna affect you whatsoever. You were kind of rage mode there. And we get this actually pretty good scene where Wonder Woman takes him to task about, oh, well, I'll kill people to save more people. I mean, how many people has the Joker killed because you refuse to do anything about him in Gotham? I'm not the only one with blood on my hands. I'm just the only person that's willing to acknowledge it, that I'm going to do something about it to stop more blood from being on my hands indirectly, but still on my hands regardless. And Batman's just like, as she stomps off. It's a good scene. It's a really good scene. So, she returns back to Themyscira where she's met by the ghost of Hippolyta because she was turned into clay and then the rain washed the clay down into the island and now she is a part of the island.
So she's a ghost mom.
Yeah, she's ghost mom.
We can't make ghost dad jokes anymore.
No.
Oh, man.
You can, but...
Way to ruin everything, dude.
Yeah, way to go, Bill Cosby. Unfortunately, though, she's like, oh my gosh, you're here. This is great. I have so many things to ask you and do all these questions. But unfortunately, smoke starts rising off in the distance. She goes, oh, I should probably check that out. Usually there's not much war happening on Themyscira, and she flies over to find all of the Manazons, the male Amazons, have been locked out of the main city. And then she's like, what's going on here? I don't know. We just showed up to do some trading and the doors were locked. I don't know what's going on in there. And she goes, okay, well, let me go check it out. And she kind of struts into town and she sees all of the Amazons have been brought into the middle of town where someone is addressing them all, just building up a whole bunch of ire and hatred and preaching about how there are too many penises on this female island and we must get rid of them. Fellow women of Amazon, will you not rise up with me and drive out all of the men from Themyscira? And she's like, and Wonder Woman's just going, whoa, I stepped away for like 3 hours here. When have we become a war state and we're going to kill all of the people that just came to save our butts not but 2 weeks ago during that whole fight with the firstborn? Who are you? And the person that's up there raising all the ire goes, don't ask me, who are you? And Wonder Woman tells her, well, I'm the queen, Wonder Woman, the queen of the Amazons. That's kind of my title right now. And we find out it's Donna Troy that's leading this whole revolution. And she goes, well, you're not queen anymore, as she pulls out her sword for the two of them to, I assume, fight for leadership of Themyscira. It's
the puppet of old crony McPennishader.
Yeah, the old crony McPennishader. She's apparently taught her very well. She's very anti-male at this point. So it's as I said, it's the whole Wonder Woman taking on so many things is really giving the book a lot of angles it can approach. So if one of the three main stories going on isn't to your liking, the other two are there to help kind of give you a different style of storytelling. I kind of like that in the way it's happening. So
okay,
lay off.
I didn't say a thing.
I know. I just know I'm going counter to a lot of popular opinion out there. So, last for me though, for this one, I did a triple play here just to try to burn through some stuff. World's End number 20. Earth 2 World's End number 20. Your new whipping boy, Brian. A little bit better this time around. A little bit better. Let's jump through all the little storylines that are going on. There's a lot of them, so I'll jump around a bit. The Death Spawn, the child of not Apocalypse, Darkseid and a Martian.
Everything I almost want to say right now. I don't actually read this. I just listen to you talk about it.
Okay, fair enough. That's why I said it's your whipping boy.
It's just, there's like 5 Earth 2 books going on right now, it seems, and I didn't care for Earth 2 in the first place, so when I hear about it dying for 20-some issues, I'm just like, okay, die already.
Is this the thing that if you were like a Celestial, you would just go up and just shoot Earth 2 in the head and be like, I'm putting you out of your misery now.
I'm sorry, Earth 2.
But the Death Spawn, the crunchy flavor crystal of Apocalypse, to give Earth 2 some flavor while Apocalypse consumes it, has made its way to the core, and the avatars of the Parliament of Earth tell the avatars, well, I know we were kind of making half-hearted allusions to us being Captain Planet and you guys should form together and summon him. Yeah, we're going to stop that. Just actually form together and summon Captain Planet if you could now. We need it, so hop to it, and that's what they're going to do. Batman and Huntress are meanwhile trying to track down Green Arrow because he has information on how to help save Earth 2. He is in hiding, and they end up tracking him to this oceanic oil rig, for lack of a better term, out in the middle of the ocean. They land, and instead of it just being an oil rig, apparently it's a transformer that rises up out of the sea, and a little periscope pops up and looks at them, and we see inside that Green Arrow is like, is that Helena Wayne? Oh my goodness. How can that be? It's been so many years. So I guess they're gonna have their little conversation. Meanwhile, Dick Grayson and Ted Grant are trying to find Dick Grayson's son here on Earth 2.
He left with Constantine.
Yes, and
Father of the Year, Dick Grayson.
Who, in an effort to save his son, left him with Constantine and his little posse of magic users. And they are down in Atom's Haven, the center of the Earth that they've carved out a little bit of space to house all of the survivors of Earth 2. And they run across two of Constantine's posse, Obsidian and Joni Thunder, the female Johnny Thunder, I'm assuming.
Okay.
But they finally track him down and they're like, hey, where's my kid? And they're like, you found us. We've been trying to avoid you because we really didn't want to tell you this. He's with Brainwave, the homicidal magic guy, and Brainwave kind of has control of your son and also all of the rest of the citizens of Atom's Haven. Well, we got to be going. See you later. What will two guys that can punch people in the face do against magic? Guess we'll find out. Finally, in the
Batwing has taught us that you can punch magic in the face.
You can punch ghosts in the face. Yeah. We know that. Finally, Mr. Miracle and Fury lug the frozen eyes popping out of their heads carcasses of Mr. Terrific and Sandman after a good 15-minute spacewalk to that giant Ark spaceship that they were trying to get to save the survivors of Earth 2 to get them off the planet. And Mr. Miracle just kind of tosses his down on the ground, and Fury does as well and goes, they're dead. I kind of told you that was going to happen. And Fury's just standing there going, I thought they were tougher than that. Well, apparently I completely misjudged the physiology of human beings. Luckily, though, defying all reason, due to positive thinking, both Mr. Terrific and Sandman just go, cough, cough. Actually, we're okay. I got better. And they stand up and they're like, I told you they're good. And they go to steal the spaceship and fly it back.
I would have loved the unmitigated gall to just have him die, but like that.
Dead. Like, well, that was good.
Science, eh? Okay.
I guess we learned something new today, didn't we, Mr. Miracle? So they end up trying to fly the spaceship back to Earth 2, but it's all locked down. And they're like, there's no way to override the systems, and that's when the door opens up, and out steps Mr. Horrific Terry Sloan, the Mr. Terrific of Earth 2, and he comes out and goes, hey, I can unlock all the doors. Apparently you guys made a horrible mistake and accidentally left me on Apocalypse there, right? It's a complete accident. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, the bombs were just a present for you guys if you made it back home. I figured you could use them later. I wasn't trying to kill you, of course. They want to toss him out into space, but of course he'll be fine because, as we know, Earthlings can survive in the vacuum of space for quite some time. But in this case, he goes, well, if you want to actually use this spaceship, you're going to need me. So I would assume we work together on this one. Because look, Apocalypse is splitting apart, kind of like armor plating. It's surrounding Earth 2 now, and it's just kind of forming around the planet of Earth 2, which is, I guess that's how it's going to use it as its core to power Apocalypse moving forward. That's how it eats planets.
Okay.
It just wraps itself around them and then sucks out all of the energy from it, which is kind of an interesting development for Apocalypse, being a planet-consuming planet that just flies around and eats planets.
I suppose so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's some stuff you can do with
Rather
that.
than just sticking a gigantic tuning fork in the middle of it like Galactus does.
Well, yes. Or just having a cloud surround it with cloud tentacles. Cloud tentacles! Woo!
What is that movie Fantastic Four?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or
movie
even
Fantastic
movie
Four.
Parallax. Basically, every giant galactic villain is a giant space cloud.
Oh, yeah, man. I kind of blocked out the second half of the Green Lantern movie. My brain's trying to get rid of it still.
Well, why don't you wrap us up for this
All
half
right,
of the show?
the new 52, Futures End number 42.
42, 5 years in the future.
Yep.
Oh, wait, was that too early?
No, you got it.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll just do it like that. So the Atom just got vaporized by a breast cancer awareness laser, and the rest of the Justice League is fighting the Brainiac spaceship.
FYI, they are called breast cancer awareness because they're giant pink ribbons that shoot across the sky.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we've been calling them such. We did get a couple confused emails of, what does this have to do with the breast cancer? And I was like, pink ribbons, man.
Yeah. Yeah, so a displaced Legionnaire, Wildfire, is almost killed, and other Legionnaire, Dawnstar, is super upset about it, and Cyborg just kind of rolls his eyes that he even has to deal with them because Legionnaires are always dying, dude. We just know how you are. That's just how you guys are. Why are you surprised by this?
Maybe you've dealt with this more than I have, or at least you've run across it, and maybe it's just a new 52 thing. Wildfire is energy in a containment suit, right? He's like an energy being that lives in... Okay, then you probably don't know because literally 10, 15 times in the new 52, his suit has been breached, and they go, oh no, Wildstar's dead. Someone goes, no, we're just going to shove him in a new suit later. Don't worry about it. Like, you would think it would be common knowledge after maybe even the third time where they go, don't worry, we'll just shove him in a new suit later.
But they don't have the future technology. It's only 5 years in the future, not 1,000 years in the future.
I'm sure they'll figure something out.
Okay. So Superman shows back up.
Plastic bag. Just, yeah, we'll tie it at the bottom here.
Most beautiful thing I've ever seen, Wildfire. So Superman shows back up in the dome and teams up with the dome on Earth in New York City that Galactiac is building over the city.
Yep.
To save it, I'm assuming, in his collection. Superman shows back up in the dome and teams up with Dr. Polaris, Firestorm, and Shazamperman, who can now switch back to Shazam since Superman's back.
Yep, don't need to do it. He didn't have the right costume to fight Brainiac anyway.
No.
So it wasn't going to work.
Mm-mm.
He knew it. He's read the rule books.
didn't have his, Lee dungarees.
And his Alabama mud stomping boots.
Yeah.
Because apparently Brainiac's from
Who
Alabama.
needs a indestructible Kryptonian armor when you've got Buddy Lee on your side? Because you can't bust him. You can't bust him. Batman is very disappointed in Mr. Terrific, going crazy and thinking Brother Eye is a god. Batman Beyond is fighting the Batman-Joker hybrid robot from the future.
The Manny Faces Batman-Joker hybrid.
Adam, turns out, didn't die. He just shrunk down all tiny and is making his way through the multiverse thing that Brainiac's got in his ship. And comes across the Engineer and manages to sever her ties to the Brainiac ship and gets her out.
So I have a quick question for you.
Well,
how do you think this works with that Brainiac giant Epcot dome? Like, it's the fact that he has different timelines, different things from different timelines inside the same housing, and that's why everyone sees like a multiversal hit whenever they go inside? Or, because everyone that breaches inside, all of a sudden they're just hit by all these visions of different versions of themselves across the multiverse.
I don't know if it's just like he has a connection through like the bleed to go to the multiverse or something, or if it's just, if he's, gotten so big and huge over the next couple of years that he's discovered the multiverse thanks to Doomed, I think, was that?
Yes, and he just has a tether to every...
Yeah, he's got tethered to everything now, and if he just collected cities before, if he can collect entire universes, then why wouldn't he?
Yeah, I was just curious if it was if you thought the Epcot bowl itself was a giant interstitial
I suppose that grid pattern we've been seeing does kind of look like it'd be the inside of the big old Brainiac dome, so
Yep.
So by getting Engineer out of there, the breast cancer laser shuts down. Adam saved everybody. I'm absolutely positive that this robot won't suddenly turn on and start working for Brainiac again this time. I mean it.
I ran Kaspersky on it this time.
Okay. I'm sure that's a thing. So meanwhile, Brainiac had been trying to lift Manhattan out of the atmosphere using that laser, and Adam shutting down the whole lift laser thing may not have been the best thing. So, Batman Beyond turned Alfred back on.
Yes.
The Alfred voice in his suit. And Brother Eye has managed to pinpoint his location and seems to have taken over the entire city now.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure where they're going with that.
Yeah, there's eyes all over the place. So.
Yes. Yeah, I that's what I was saying before, whether Brainiac and Brother Eye are the same person, or if they're two competing,
or if they're going to combine together, or if they're going to combine together into that new guy we've seen in the teasers.
Hey, we don't talk about the future. We don't talk about the future, except 5 years in the future.
Yeah, it's 5 years in the future, and it's all speculation. I don't know. All I know is Brother Eye's taken over the city, and do we know who's in that city? Former Red Robin Tim Drake, who, as we all know, is currently living under the name Severus Saltonstall.
No.
You see, when he decided to give up the superhero life, he thought he would, give himself the last name Saltonstall, and he could get a job installing salt in all the empty salt shakers across the city. Then it turns out that wasn't actually a job, so he had to deal with the whole cleaning out glasses with a rag thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, he had already gotten the actual identity papers for it, so at that point, it's really a lot of work to go back down to the DMV, get a new license issue.
Yeah.
Just had to sneak it in there because he didn't show up this issue, didn't you? Fair enough.
Can't forget about former Red Robin Tim Drake.
Who was that?
Severus Saltonstall.
Oh, damn it. Someday you're going to forget this little silly name you gave him, and I'm going to get you. We only got like 6 more issues in this, 6 or 7.
Because he's got the best thing. He's hanging out with Plastique now, so
Yeah.
Something will happen soon enough, I'm sure.
I am sure as well. But that wraps us up for the first half of the show. Not too bad. Made decent time. So what do you got coming up for Brown 2, Brian?
For Brown 2?
Brown 2.
Brown 2. I've got Batgirl, Batwoman, Supergirl, and Teen Titans.
Oh, that's right. It's the Bat-heavy side of the show. Because I have Batman Eternal number 46, Batman and Robin number 39. So many thumbs up, it's not even funny. Red Hood and the Outlaws number 39. And I will wrap it up with Trinity of Sin number 5. So hold on a couple seconds, and we're going to come right back, and we will go through those books.
And we're back.
Oh, man.
Everyone, we're back.
Yeah.
How you doing?
That's a little more subdued. I can deal with that at least.
Welcome to public radio.
I was going to say, that's like the NPR comeback there. So, we are in the Bat half of the show. I'm just going to throw out an apology. I know we're a little lower energy today. Sorry. That's all I can offer you is sorry. Yeah. I'm exhausted. But we're going to pick up the Bat half of the show with Batman Eternal number 46, the weekly Batman book that's been coming out, where someone, we don't know who, has been pulling the strings behind the curtain to destroy everything Batman and Bruce Wayne holds dear. Destroying his family, his home, his company, all of it. It's all being taken away from him. And let's get some of the smaller stories out of the way first before we get to the main one, where Catwoman, now the leader of all of the gangs of Gotham City, goes and visits her dad Leo, the ex-mob boss of Gotham City, and is asking him who is moving product in the city. I get all these reports that stuff is coming into the city, but it's not my guys, and I am the crime kingpin of all of Gotham City. I should probably know that. She goes, and her dad goes, okay, well, I'll find out for you. I'll put out some feelers. And he does so, and it turns out all of these items that are being brought into town are these weird items like baby doll heads and a root beer machine and drones from Kondak. And it's just, what the hell is all of this stuff for? And she pieces it together. Someone is bringing in the wish list of all of Gotham's weird, odd costumed villains. And we see Joker's daughter sitting on a throne of arms with a bunch of baby doll heads around her, and Mr. Freeze apparently just wants a root beer machine.
Okay, I was wondering who's the root beer themed supervillain.
Well, they don't come out and say it, but it's just the panel where they're talking about the root beer machine is Mr. Freeze standing there like looking off into the distance like someday floats for as far as the eye can see. And then of course Scarecrow wants the drones so that he can spread his fear toxin everywhere. And it's, oh no, the villains are getting everything they want. They're going to destroy Gotham City. Julia Pennyworth, meanwhile, down in the Batcave is, I'm assuming she was a bird owner because she's throwing towels over the Hush aquarium. I guess she wants Hush to go to sleep. But in this case, it's so she can take a shower and change, and Hush is just kind of mocking her from the other side, like, oh, come on, why are you throwing the towels up? This is horrible. This sucks. It was the only benefit of living in the stupid Batcave in the Hush aquarium. But the main crux of this issue deals with Batman storming the headquarters of Ra's al Ghul because he had just found hints that pointed the person that was behind all of this was in fact Ra's al Ghul. And he heads on in there, but is met by Dr. Dark. You remember Dr. Dark? D-A-A-A-A-A-A-A-A-A-A-R-K.
I vaguely recall you pronouncing it like that.
He was from the Talon issues. The last 2 issues of Talon.
Oh, the bug crap crazy issues of Talon?
That's correct. But Dr. Dark uses some sort of chemical to give these visions to Batman. And meanwhile, Ra's al Ghul is kind of talking to him over a loudspeaker, asking him, is Batman eternal? Name drop. Name drop.
Oh, I love when they say the name of the movie in the movie.
But it's like, you're going to eventually pass on, and who is going to be your successor, Batman? And he's seeing all these visions. Is it going to be you in the future being all grizzled and Dark Knight Returns Batman? You see like bestial ape-like Batman from the Batman, like a Frank Miller style Batman, just kind of like, I'm all grizzled and old. And then or are you going to have a new protege that's going to take over for you? And it's, hey, it's a future Batman Beyond Batman here. Or is it going to be Dick Bats? Because everyone loves Dick Bats. Everyone's been clamoring for Dick Bats. We want him back. Where Dick Grayson takes on the mantle. Or is it going to be by bloodline, where your actual son Damian takes over? And we see like all these different images of who has taken on the mantle of Batman afterwards. And finally, Batman goes, enough. All of these are visions. It's all stuff. You're just in my head. And, to really bring it back full circle to those Talon issues, Lord Deathman comes jumping out and he goes, it's not enough. Lord Deathman's here for the cavalry, for the to save Dr. Dark here. And Batman's just like, oh, not this
Lord
guy.
Deathman.
Lord Deathman has been very, very fun in the New 52 because he's insane. He is quite literally insane. And,
he sounds like he sounds like a poorly translated video game.
Yes. And it's the whole thing is that Ra's al Ghul is even talking over the loudspeaker going, yeah, I was going to siphon off some of Lord Deathman's blood so that I could try to, live eternal since you took away all my Lazarus pits. Apparently it drives you batshit insane. So I just kind of let him hang around here now. I wasn't going to use his blood for anything. Batman grabs Lord Deathman and bashes his face into one of the consoles, and meanwhile Lord Deathman's screaming, I'm sexting, or whatever the kids do right now. And he turns around and he's like, hey Batman, how's the wife? How's the kids? And Batman starts kicking out his legs, and he's going, Batman, what is up with this? I'm asking you how you're doing, and you're just like, I hate knees. Such a fun character. Really is such a fun character.
Did you hear that Lord Deathman has shown up in the Batman 66 comic?
Has he really?
Apparently last week he showed up and the storyline is still going on. I just read online.
Is he like kooky Lord Deathman, or is he?
I don't know. It's just Lord Deathman in the Batman 66 universe.
Kooky Lord Deathman and Adam West Batman would probably just sit there and giggle at one another, just like hee hee hee.
When the storyline is over, I might just have to go and take a look at that.
I might have to take a look at that one too. But in this case, Ra's al Ghul is trying to explain over the loudspeaker the entire time that he's not the one behind it. I know you have hints and clues, but that's what someone wanted you to believe, to send you after me. I'm not, in fact, the person behind it. In fact, look at this, and he opens up this door, and we see that Ra's al Ghul is wasted away, barely alive.
I was hoping he'd opened the door to a bunch of ninjas training, and
no, next door. But he's barely alive. This takes place right after the Batman and Robin Returns stuff, apparently, because he's like, yeah, I fell off that parademon into a ravine and outside Nanda Parbat, but I'm barely alive. You took away all my Lazarus pits, but I will make myself stronger because I need to destroy you. But I'm not going to destroy you in this manner. What I want to do is come at you when you're at your strongest, when you feel you are at the top of your game, everything's coming up roses for Batman. That's when I'm going to be right there to crush the life out of you and take that city away from you. I don't want this easy peasy stuff. I want the challenge that is actually Batman. So tell you what, you get over all this crazy stuff going on right now. You patch everything back up with your friends and family. You get the city up and running again. And then that next day, I'll be there to get you. So nice seeing you. Enjoy your trip back to Gotham. And that's kind of where it ends. Actually, it ends with all of the villains.
Now I'm going to gum on these Nilla wafers and banana pudding.
Yeah. But it ends with all of the villains of Gotham getting all their toys and like, yes, now we're going to destroy Gotham City. Very fun, very fun. Running out of issues though. Still don't know who's behind it. Again, I'm getting a little worried that we're gonna come down to the wire and it's gonna be like, it was the butler, and then he just punches him in the face. So moving on. What do you got, Brian?
Oh, that's a good question, isn't it? I think I've got Batgirl.
You do have Batgirl.
All right, so what with all the fighting and apocalypse she's been doing lately, you think that Batgirl is currently on the run from granny goodness, but no, she's on the run from an actual granny. Yes. With a rolling pin and everything. And a bunch of other Burnside hipsters, like a mustachioed guy in a vest on a velocipede, and a girl with purple hair wielding knitting needles as weapons, you know.
You know, before this jumps back and explains why all the citizens of Burnside are chasing after her, I thought this was retribution for her destroying that diner. I was like, man, they really like that diner.
Had the best waffles, Sean. It turns out that mobile friend-finding app, Hook, has put out a $20 million hit on Batgirl. So
well, that doesn't seem like what a friend...
that also explains that even the grannies in Burnside are freaky.
Yeah. Everyone's on Hook.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Batgirl starts to wonder if her brain is starting to play tricks on her, and if she has actually been the person that's doing all of the other Batgirl stuff.
Okay.
Since she talked to herself on the phone, and Liam knew all that other stuff about her that only she would know. And so she goes and makes up with Black Canary. They have a staff meeting. They have an actual staff meeting where they hit each other with staffs. And they start to realize that she had a brain scan in her computer that got hijacked by Riot Black back in the first issue of the new creative team.
Because that was the entire basis of her thesis that she's doing for school. Mm-hmm. Was based off of the brainwaves and tracking people via social messaging and blah, blah, blah. So she had it in her own research to do it.
So she tracks it off to Hook headquarters, gets in the building in the coolest way possible, driving a bike up the side of the building, shooting a grappling hook, letting her bike fall down in a parachute. Even Black Canary's just like, oh, show off.
You know what? I absolutely adored the text afterwards.
Yeah.
Where it's just all of a sudden her phone just goes pating and she looks down and she's just like, it's just Black Canary going, show off.
Winky face. Her roommate Frankie is there, super worried and without her crutches. So that's kind of like a running thing in the issue. It's like Frankie's here gone without her crutches. What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
Is she okay? And she immediately figures out that Barbara's Batgirl, which
pretty easy at that point.
Pretty easy if it's your roommate and she's just got that little mask on. And then a green head of Barbara shows up on the computer screen and says, "No, I'm Batgirl and I'm going to take my life back." So
is this Oracle?
That's what I'm thinking. It's like, is it going to be Batgirl versus Oracle for the rest of this arc?
But it's a digital, her personality uploaded into the internet.
I know, right?
Oracle?
It could be.
That could
interesting.
Be, yeah, that could be a very interesting take on the whole thing. Everyone gets their cake and can eat it too.
Mm-hmm, yeah. It's going to continue in Secret Origins.
Okay.
So I might actually have to read that.
Yeah.
And then it's going to finish off in the next issue. So before Convergence. So yeah.
I kind of like. I don't know if "like" is the right term for it.
Do you like it?
No. Do you remember how I was talking about how I want creators to go out there and claim this stuff and bring new things, like their style, their vision to each one of these books post-Convergence? The biggest thing that's showing that that's what they're doing with this book is that I get literally 10 emails saying, I hate this book. I despise it with the fire of 1,000 suns. They've ruined everything I hold dear. And then I get 10 more emails saying, wow, I can really actually relate with this book now. Mm-hmm. Holy crap, this is a character that's very similar to my lifestyle, or just they're living in my world right now. It's not just okay, they're off doing weird things and there's payphones still. Who has payphones still?
Yeah.
I mean, it's this weird dichotomy where I like seeing that it's found its audience and where that audience is going to be vested in this book now.
Yeah.
I mean, they're serious. It's not going to be just a passing, okay, well, I picked it up. I've always picked it up.
It's almost the Captain Marvel model,
Yeah. You want to get them invested in the book to actually keep reading it because they're vested, instead of just having a casual relationship with the character, I assume.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but I don't know. Yeah. It's very intriguing to me, especially with all of the books heading that direction right now.
Yeah.
To see how that's going to play out in the long term, because
I'm very excited because there's some unique voices that are coming on after the break. So.
Yeah. And it's a big risk, I think.
Yeah. But hey, if you can get people just like solidly behind like a couple of books and making sure they're buying them every single month, and it's diverse enough across like many different people, not just the same, 5,000 people or whatever that are always
like
buying everything.
150,000 probably.
Well, okay, I don't know. I don't know the numbers. I don't pay attention to that stuff.
I'm going to guesstimate around 150,000 solid readers still.
That might just be a business model that works.
Yeah.
It's exciting to me. So
yeah. It's something new, that's for sure. So we'll see where it goes. Also new.
This is the one thing comic readers love. It's something new.
Yes, that's what they all jump towards. Next up, also new, Batman and Robin number 39, and the new thing there, Damian has superpowers. He's like a Superman
That cover
kid.
is amazing.
Well, it really is. Hey, you put down that cover.
Alfred is the random screaming guy from the Superman issue. Oh, I love it.
Absolutely. Did you read this issue?
Of course I did.
I knew you always pick this one up as soon as you walk in the door, but I was just curious.
You're taking your breaks. That's what I'm looking at.
This time, though, Damian has decided to take a different tact in fighting crime in Gotham City. He's got superpowers now. We don't need to go out there and onesie-twosie fight crime. So he zips like Superman, flying through the city, and picks up people like Killer Croc, Penguin. Do you remember the weird Bat villains from the Terminus arc?
Bathead?
Yeah.
I know. I remember him.
Yeah, there's like a boot face that has the Batman boot imprint in his face, and the three people that were melted together, and the bat head, the guy with the batarang sticking out of his head that keeps randomly saying things. Well, he grabs all of them, puts them in a room, and kind of steps out and goes, "Okay, guys, we're gonna have a little discussion." And all of them are just standing there like, "It's the kid. Well, let's just get him." Okay. Yeah. And they go to fight him. And Damian just kind of ties them all up and flies them up to high or low orbit, in this case, high altitude. He goes, "Having a little trouble breathing? A little chilly up here? We'll tell you what, we're going to have a little chat. If you guys cross the line at all in Gotham City, I'm going to take you across this line called the Karman line that separates you from being an Earthling or an astronaut." And they're all like, okay, we understand. He's like, "Good. I'm glad we had this little conversation." That is a pretty badass line.
Yeah.
For a little 10-year-old to just, I swear to God, what he's been doing is just practicing his lines because he has so many in these issues.
I took all those acting lessons with Carrie Kelly.
That's what it is. He just wants to deliver really cool, badass one-liners before he, wanders off.
With a dry, cool wit like that, I could be an action hero.
So as he's flying them all back down, he kind of slips. Is it his powers give out, or he loses his grip on them? I can't quite tell.
It's open to interpretation.
It is. And luckily, Batman is there in the Batwing to grab them and save them. And there's this great panel of him flying next to Damian, just pointing down, going, "Down now." And Damian's all sad face as he's floating back down to Earth. They end up having their conversation because Alfred decides they need a little bonding time. These two Damian just came back to life after Bruce just had this entire crazy adventure to bring him back to life. And the only way these two are going to stop and actually talk is if, Alfred forces them to go fishing. So it's these two, Damian and Bruce Wayne, out on a boat God, we hate fishing. Why would you make us go fishing? Well, since you're here, I should probably explain how you came back to life. That whole chaos shard thing. Remember that, your mom used to artificially accelerate your growth. Well, we found it and it gave me visions. It was kind of like a wish stick. And if I got dark side powers in it and put it in you, it would bring you back to life. And apparently some of those powers kind of drifted into you as well. So, you got superpowers now. Sorry, kid. And, all Damian cares about is how do we end this fishing trip? How do we get off of it? And he goes, "Well, Alfred said until we catch a fish, we can't go back." And he goes, "That's it." Uses his fishing pole as a spear. And just tosses it in the water, grabs a fish, and then picks up the boat and flies it back to shores because it was going to take too long otherwise, to a very miffed Alfred, "Well, that wasn't exactly what I had in mind. You guys suck." They end up doing testing on all of the powers that Damian has, and it seems that the big thing that they kept pointing out in this issue is that he feels no pain. Not that it doesn't hurt him, that his pain receptors aren't passing on anything to his brain. So it's whether he has lost touch itself, which the last thing you would want is Damian to be more removed from society and humanity if he has no feeling whatsoever. So I don't know if they're going to go that route with it or what, but it was kind of pushed in the dialogue that he feels no pain. Not that doesn't hurt him, just that it doesn't get to his brain. And finally, they go back out to fight crime again. Not finally in this case. Of course, Damian gets all rambunctious once again, just jumps at a tank and tears it apart. And Batman makes him take the people back to the prison. And, Damian, in his efforts to fight crime, also another new tack to do it, picks up the bat signal and flies it around town, just shining it on crimes like, oh, I'm gonna get you, it's Batman everywhere. And Batman stops him yet again and goes, put it back. Fine. We're going to the Watchtower. Come on, you're gonna go meet the League. And, I kind of enjoy the way they do it, where Damian's kind of really blowing off the whole thing. And Batman's like, aren't you excited? Isn't this kind of cool? You're coming up to the Watchtower. Come on, man, you're gonna meet the Justice League. And he's just going, whatever, I'll do it. It's such a 10-year-old reaction to something. And, they go out there. Of course, Shazam instantly wants to be friends with him and is showing off his Xbox corner in the Watchtower and like, yeah, it's kind of cool. I hang out up here with Cyborg. We play Injustice all the time. It's kind of badass. You could probably swing by sometimes as well. We don't have
it's so an older kid that's kind of like, it's like, please be friends with my slightly smaller kid. And like it's like so awkward, the conversation they're having. It's hilarious.
It really does work so well. But while that's going on, Superman is filling in Batman that there is a giant Godzilla kaiju monster about to attack Japan, and they should probably go do something about it. And Superman goes,
I don't think they ever attack like Australia or
it's a lot further away. There's all that water in between. It's messy. And Superman's going, well, I assume you brought Damian along so that he could watch from the Watchtower here and kind of pick up some new tricks and tips and see what it's like to work in a team setting. And Batman just goes, no, he's coming with. Come on, Damian. It's time for you to run with the big dogs if you're going to be a super-powered little kid. Let's see how you do. And Damian doing the whole right stuff walk with all of the other superheroes like, yeah, let's go do this, as he's punching his fist into his head. So Superman, Shazam, Batman, and the superpowered Damian are going to go fight Godzilla now.
Yep.
Sure. I'm in.
Comics. Woo.
So much fun. The voice is just so great in this book for all of the characters, as far as the father-son dynamic, as you said, the older kid with the younger kid, with Shazam and Damian. It's so well done. Quite enjoy it. Looking forward to more of it. And, of course it ends next issue.
Yeah. Then he gets his own book.
Yes, exactly. So we'll see where it goes from there.
All right. Batwoman 39. So, Batwoman's sister Beth shows up in the middle of this big crazy arc we've been going through.
Beth. What's her superhero name?
Red Alice?
Oh, that's right, Red Alice.
Yeah, who's
not to be confused with Alice or Black Alice, who are also out there.
Or the Mad Hatter, who has the same exact shtick as her.
You didn't like all of her
Lewis Carrollisms?
Yeah.
Like, I'm in the public domain. I'm so glad I'm obsessed with this.
I can yoink anything I want.
Talk about Jabberwocks. So, there is a rather amusing thing where she meets her sister's new girlfriend, Madame Nocturna.
Yes, the vampire queen.
The vampire queen, who is also a supervillain, and they're just very, like, catty and, like, angry with each other, and they don't care for each other one bit. It's like, I'm very disapproving of this relationship. It's like, shut up, I can do what I want. I'm not being mind controlled at all. No. Elsewhere in the story, Clayface has been... He's now Ragman's roommate.
Yes.
Which
is so weird.
Which is the most fantastically odd couple thing ever. And he has amnesia, and he does not care for what a bad guy he used to be.
Yeah, I killed so many people. I must be evil. I'm so evil.
Why don't you kill me? It's like, no, you're fine now. I'm actually kind of intrigued by the Clayface Ragman pairing.
I am too, which is weird.
I'd kind of like to read, like, a one-shot or a miniseries of just them hanging out, fighting, other golems of some sort.
Other golems of some sort.
Other golems, yeah. Eventually, Batwoman, Red Alice, Ragman, and Clayface meet up outside of Jason Blood's apartment, where Morgan Le Fay has the demon tied up with magic and steals a magic artifact from Jason Blood's previous life that he's using as a bookend.
Yes.
Because he's lost all of his memory of, like, being one with the demon and being eternal, so he has no clue what's going on.
Fair enough.
So she gets the drop on everyone that was there trying to get a drop on her, and then goes off to Slaughter Swamp to raise an army of the undead with the bookend.
Well, that's a good place to go if you're going to raise an army of undead.
Mm-hmm.
Slaughter Swamp has a lot of creepy things in it. And if you need a demon nun, they got him by the score there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What did you think of this one?
It's fine.
Yeah,
it's, you know,
it felt a little bit better than the previous issue. Like, the last two were a little weird for me. Not weird in the whole, like, because we had the really odd issue of just, hey, we're in space, and I'm teamed up with Clayface and the Demon.
Which is going to be happening very quickly if the next issue is the last one. So.
Yeah, but that one was weird for its own thing, and I kind of enjoyed it just for just all of a sudden tossing us in the deep end. The last two just felt kind of off for me, and this one felt a little bit more on. See, I enjoyed the quieter tone of the book where it was dealing mostly with the home life and the love life of Maggie and Batwoman.
And
Maggie Sawyer and Batwoman.
Obviously that wasn't working, so they're trying something
different. I know it wasn't working, but I'm just saying I like that tone, and I think we got a little bit more of that in this issue than we have in the last two.
Yeah. I like the Wolf Spider, but I think that arc may have gone a little long.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. But
I think it is just sort of time for Batwoman to maybe go on the shelf, wait for someone with a really strong vision to take over and go from there.
Fair enough.
So she can still show up in other people's books.
Yeah.
Not the end of the world.
Well, we got a Batman Weekly, so I mean, she can join in the fun there.
Because Eternal's going to start up again after like a break in the first one, right?
Yeah. It basically gets like a couple months for a mid-season break type thing, and then it goes into season 2 of Batman Eternal. So
okay, yeah.
They're gonna frame it in a television style of seasons. I'm with that.
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
I'll do it. Next up, Red Hood and the Outlaws, number 39, getting back to the core style of the book that I kind of like, where Jason...
Idiot bro.
Yeah, pretty much. Jason and Roy, Red Hood and Arsenal, have teamed up with Crux, the human that injected himself with a bunch of DNA, or as he calls himself, the Green Man-Bat.
Okay.
Because he has both Killer Croc and Man-Bat's DNA in him, and he looks like a scaly green Man-Bat. And that's what he flies around with. They're dumping out all of the venom that Jason had picked up, because, you know, he doesn't need it anymore. He has friends again. Everything's gonna be fine. In their efforts to track down Starfire, because Crux goes, I know where I can find Starfire. I can take us to where she's at. And he kind of flies the ship they're in, and he goes, okay, I've done it. And they land, and he goes, Starfire is somewhere in, the Amazon jungle, somewhere in here. I've tracked it down to this region. They're like, that's not really helpful, but I guess let's hop out and trudge through the rainforest and find her, because that seems to be the best way to do things. Starfire is, of course, in the Amazon jungle, where she was tied to a tree trying to detox herself from the space drugs she was taking. And her sister Blackfire showed up at the end of last issue and said, oh, I'm gonna kill you. And we were like, wait a minute. You guys were sisters and bestie pals, not the last time you met. But she finishes the sentence in this one, goes, I'm gonna kill you for being such a bonehead. Getting hooked on the smack again. You silly sister of mine. Let's get you all cleaned up and get you back out there and everything. So she wasn't gonna kill her, I guess? I don't know. It's a weird way of doing it. Yeah, I know. It was a weird way of doing it. But the two of them have to hide because the Citadel, I'm assuming an alien race of people, have shown up, and they're setting up a forward base there in the rainforest, and they're like, oh no, we're gonna have to do something about that. Trudging through the rainforest, though, Roy and Jason and Crux run across Rose Wilson, aka Ravager, the daughter of Deathstroke. And she kind of jumps out and is like, haha, I've been hired to find Starfire and bring her in for a bounty. And she starts fighting them. And apparently Jason and Rose have a bit of history. I throw air quotes around because Jason's all like, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. Remember when we used to hook up all the time? It was pretty cool, huh? And as they're fighting, she's talking about stabbing him, and he's like, yeah, that's the girl I like. How's it going, Ravager? And she eventually agrees to team up with them to find Starfire, but I'm going to catch her. I'm going to bring her in because I'm a bounty hunter. And as they're trudging through the forest, Starfire comes out, and she's like, oh, hey, guys. And Rose just lunges right at her. And it's just Roy and Jason standing on the sideline as they're jumping at one another, Starfire and Ravager. And Roy's going, how long do you think she's going to last? I give her 3 seconds. And then you just see Rose fly by as she's knocked away. And Roy's going, well, you were only off by about 3 seconds. And Rose in the background going, don't tell anyone about this ever. And Jason's, of course, going, hey, I'm not going to say anything. I have plenty of embarrassing things with this team. We're not very good together. They end up finding the Citadel fortress in the woods, and it's like the three of them, or I'm sorry, 5 of them now, with their heads poked up over this ridge, like, oh, they haven't seen us yet. Okay, we're going to sneak up on them and break them up. I think this is going to be a good plan because no one's going to see us coming. And like 5 feet behind them, Lord Hellspawn's just standing there shaking his head at the 5 of them peering over this ridge whispering, like, God, these guys are so inept. Again, it's the frat boy stupidity. It's not frat boy stupidity though. They're just not good at their jobs because they're just kind of palling around. They're having fun while they fight crime, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to put into words. It's just very, very fun when the two of them get together and just have no real logical way to assist anyone, really. So I enjoyed it quite a bit, and I'm curious to see where it's going to go with the future direction of the book, especially heading into the direction that I kind of really enjoy. We'll see how that works.
Yeah.
So moving on.
All right, Supergirl 39. So, after the big showdown at RomaCon.
RomaCon!
Or Shere Con, or...
I believe Shaka Khan was one of the other ones.
Butterfree Con, yeah. Master Chupon Con. Superboy decides to just let Maxima take him up to the Crucible, and Supergirl, who is not going to let anyone take Superboy, is just like, oh, okay.
Well, I guess if you want to go.
Yeah. Then it turns out the mean-looking teacher was actually mean, and the normal-looking one was nice. Uh-oh. And so the mean-looking teacher that was acting all nice is actually working with Wolf Boy's brother, and they take Superboy away and knock out the good teacher.
Tisk,
For
tisk.
nefarious means. Supergirl takes the injured Comet to her kinda boyfriend Michael's house and is all... hey, guy in wheelchair, can you hold on to this hunky CW guy while he gets better? Don't feel too emasculated. K, thanks, bye.
See, Superman has the Phantom Zone, but Kara wields the Friend Zone with vicious efficiency.
Yes. And then she goes back to the Crucible, and the evil teacher is in charge, and everyone's gone, and he's cloning Superboys, and we know that will fix everything.
Did no one watch the Michael Keaton movie?
No one
watched. He was Batman.
Yes.
I mean, you would think that everyone in the DC universe would have watched this movie by now.
Yeah.
Multiplicity?
Yes.
Yeah. I was having issues. I was like, multiplexity?
No.
I guess that would probably be the DC universe version of the movie.
Yes.
Multiplexity. Maybe Multiplex is Michael Keaton. Dun, dun, dun. Very, very cute book. And I don't mean that as a write-off, like waving my hand like, oh, that was cute. Moving on. It's actually cute and fun and light and
yeah, it's obviously wrapping things up quickly, but
the Captain Comet just being the hunky guy that you would think would normally save the day, all unconscious, gibbering and drooling on himself in the bed somewhere. But she's like, just, you stay here. I'll go take care of this whole thing. Or I guess he's just Comet now.
Yeah,
he's not Captain anymore. He was stripped of his rank.
And when you're young, you ain't got time to say the full word.
No. Lucky he's not just CC or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just be C.
My last book for this episode, though, is Trinity of Sin, number 5.
Okay.
Where we were dealing...
My last book is Teen Titans number 7.
Well, thank you for telling me that.
Okay.
We were dealing with both, or I'm sorry, not even both, Phantom Stranger, Pandora, and the Question were locked up inside the redemption box, and once they had gone inside, they found themselves crucified to these giant crystal crucifixes, because that's what you crucify people on.
Yeah, exactly. It's in the word.
And as they're chained there, birds are coming and eating their innards, and then when the blood hits,
Are they soul birds?
they are not soul
Boo.
birds, because Phantom Stranger would have just been like, oh, hey, soul birds, and they would have just hung out. And then as soon as the blood hits the ground, the bugs and insects and other critters crawl up the crucifix and finish off the rest of their innards. Yum, 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 and this happens over and over and over. Eventually, the Question is able to get himself free, and he contemplates freeing the other two because he doesn't like them, he hates them, it's been his running motive for the entire New 52, but they did kind of save him from Nimrod's brainwashing. So at least he'll give it the old college try. He like kicks one of the crucifixes and it doesn't free them. And he's like, well, I tried my best, and wanders off on his own to try to find where he is or what's going on. Ends up running across the Caretaker, who is this angel that I guess caretakes the redemption box.
And, a good name.
Yeah, pretty much. And the Caretaker informs him that the redemption box kind of gives you what you believe you want. In this case, each one of them believed that they were at least at some fundamental level, should be punished for something that they did. They may not even know what it is they did, but they feel that the punishment was in fact just, and that's why they are punishing themselves down here in the redemption box. The reason the Question got free, he always questions authority. He never takes anything at face value, so he was not as convicted in his own self-guilt, was able to free himself, so he goes, okay, so I just have to convince them they shouldn't be like this, wanders on back, and ends up having like a ghost fight with the guilt of the other two. Frees them, and they go back to the caretaker, who says, well, you basically have two choices. You can live here in paradise inside my redemption box until everything kind of patches itself out there on Earth, or you can leave and go out there and try to save Earth from Nimrod and his demon hordes. It's kind of your choice. And they go, well, it is kind of our fault that Nimrod took over and turned Dark Earth into an MC Escher painting, so guess we should do something about it. And they leave the box, and they end up appearing right in front of Nimrod, where we will wrap up next month. A bit better this time around, because I think we focused just on the Question. It wasn't all three of them basically saying the same thing over and over from their own unique perspective. It was just one person coming to a realization instead of three people coming to the same realizations in 3 pages each. So, do you know where I mean by that? Where you have like a team book where each of them has to learn the same plot point, and then they explain the same plot point to the other character, and you're like, yep, I get it. I got it the first time around.
Yep.
So since we were a little more focused on one character this time, the Question.
The one character that everyone wants to read about, but has had no book of his own.
Yep. That's the one.
Yep.
I don't know if they just want to kick this Question under the rug and maybe redo him a little bit. That's why they haven't.
Maybe a gigantic breast cancer dome will.
maybe.
We'll bring back our old one.
Maybe we shall see.
I'll even take Renee Montoya at this point.
I like Renee Montoya. I know you weren't exactly super fan of Renee, but
I was just upset that as soon as I got excited about the Question, thanks to the cartoon show, they immediately replaced the one that I wanted to read more about in the comics.
I could see that. I wasn't there at that time, so
yeah.
Last issue of this episode.
Wrapping up with Teen Titans number 7.
Or Animal Planet.
Yes. Beast Boys Ranger Rick. Yeah, so we left last issue where a bomb went off on Governor's Island. There's no fallout, but animal fun fact, Beast Boy turned into a wolf because he read about the wolves in Chernobyl that weren't affected by the radiation, so he thought that was the best bet.
I do like how everyone else was like, I don't think that's how it works.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, but we're also the same idiots that immediately teleported to the place where an atomic bomb went off. So,
Yeah, but luckily, no fallout.
Yeah. Because as it turns out, mad scientists from Operation Paperclip created a bunch of weird mad scientist devices.
You know what that is? That's Manhattan Projects.
Mm-hmm.
So all my I'm now picturing that all my crazy stuff over in Manhattan Projects book actually happened, and Teen Titans are going to have to deal with the other stuff.
And I like when Manchester Black is explaining this. It's like, do you know what Operation Paperclip is? And everyone goes, no. And Robin goes, yeah. And I want to just think it's because Batman's watching the Earth 8 movies where Captain Crusader or whatever he was, the Marvel version, the DC version of Captain America. It's like, I watched the second Captain Crusader movie. I know about it. Yeah. They are slowing down time, and they're going to erase New York with something conveniently called the Eraser, and they're just going to wipe it completely off the planet to show everyone that,
like the railgun from the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie?
No, not like that.
Okay. Because that was the Eraser, too.
I know. This is more just take a big, gigantic, duck-a-muck eraser and kind of go, and wipe out
Does it make that noise? I would feel much less threatened and kind of like, oh, well, that's kind of cool if it was just like, we eat, and then New York City is gone.
Yes. Yes, so because they've slowed down the time, Raven and Beast Boy are the only people who can kind of percept how things are going on, because obviously magic is being used, so Raven perceives time in a different way. And so Beast Boy immediately thinks, well, mayflies have a very short lifespan, so they must experience things very quickly. So when he turns into a mayfly, that means that he can experience time the same way Raven is. And I love Beast Boy's kind of idiot animal facts, lucking into things. That is fantastic.
I absolutely adore the fact that he has the most, not inept, but just not factually true. Well, I'm kind of perceiving it this way, so I'm sure it'll work that way.
Yeah. Yeah, so they go and they hunt down the mad scientists who are doing this stuff, and Beast Boy just turns into a whale and drops himself on them. And then the Teen Titans are able to show up because they've messed with the time.
Well, they broke the time.
They broke the time slow-down machine, yeah.
That's what we're going to call it, the time slow-down machine.
Yeah.
We're not good at naming things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they show up and they start beating up the mad scientists, and Beast Boy turns into a rhino. He's just like, I'm sure this will work, and he just immediately plows over he just runs into the eraser. No possible chance that it could have erased everything by breaking it. He's just like, oh, I'm glad that worked, And because they were kind of holographically projecting this in the middle of New York City.
Yes, for their threat demands.
Yes, they see the Teen Titans like save New York, and they're like, oh my gosh, their approval rating is at an all-time high.
I love the panel of the camera though, where all the Teen Titans realize they're being broadcast, and it's like Bunker tapping the camera with just Beast Boy standing there as a rhinoceros with his head cocked, looking at it like, is this thing on?
Yeah. So, hooray, Manchester Black convinces Josiah Power to let the Teen Titans join up with Star Labs, and they've destroyed all the Doomsday machines. Hooray! And then Robin goes, hey, Manchester, you said earlier that there was one machine that was worse than all that ones that we destroyed. Which one was that? And we cut to the evil occult scientist who is like in charge of things, whose name we haven't gotten yet, breaking out of the paddy wagon on fire, saying that everything is going according to plan.
Yes.
So
apparently a biological weapon of some sort turned himself into it, or something along those lines. Yeah. So I guess we shall see moving forward.
Yep.
This one's continuing on after Convergence, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. As I said, the lighter tone, it's just like Batgirl. There's some people that are not digging it whatsoever, and then others like, I don't know about you, but I certainly am. I'm kind of maybe it's the previous run of Teen Titans set my bar a little lower, and this one is just like, holy crap, it's night and day.
Yeah.
It's that last run. That was a little rough on me.
Yeah.
That was a little rough. But no, it's been a very entertaining run for me, and I'm enjoying it, and I'm hoping it continues on in a similar direction after Convergence. Mm-hmm. But that's it. That wraps us up for this show.
Yeah, that's
entirely. I'm just gonna fall asleep. I think that's what our show notes are just gonna be, is just Z. So as a reminder to you guys, go out there and buy these books. Support what you like, because if you don't buy it, they don't make it. So if there's a tone or a style or a character that you enjoy, you have to go and support them if you want to see
people who like Trinity of Sin. It's all on you.
Yeah. Well, I think that one's just over next month period. Fairly certain.
I know. The people who would have liked it didn't buy it.
Well, yeah. It did flounder a little bit in the sales department, but it was a specialty tone, I think, too.
Yeah.
It was definitely a specialty tone. It was something to try, and, maybe it didn't pan out this time. Maybe they'll find something different with it. That's the weird thing about it, to go back to the whole, Trinity of Sin book. DeMatteis is writing that one. And I make complaints about how, we get 3 pages explaining the same thing. But then over in like JL 3000 or the Teen Titans Go cartoon that I know he's done a couple episodes of, and other books that he's writing, absolutely adore it. Like, not even a single hitch in it. So I'm thinking it's more the characters and the premise of the book that I'm not enjoying with it, instead of the actual creative team in that case.
Or maybe he's just better with funny stuff than he is with
it's not
dark,
even just
dark
funny
and grim stuff.
Because I've seen him with the heavier philosophical side of things, and it came across fine. I had no issues with it whatsoever. It's just, as I said, maybe it's just the premise on this one that's pushing it a little south for me. I don't know.
DC seems to keep trying. They're trying to make the Trinity of Sin happen, and I just don't think it's going to happen.
No. They can jump on the pile with Steve Trevor.
Yeah.
Like, sorry guys, you didn't make the cut.
Yep.
But that's all right. Make sure you support what you like. We bought all the Steve Trevor stuff. We wanted to see it continue. Not enough of you did, apparently.
Our sweet Sterling Gates-averse.
Yes.
Come on, Vibe's popular now. Bring him back.
Yes!
I'm sure once the multiversal stuff starts coming to a head, he'll show up again.
He's so happy if he does. I really will.
He's growing out some hair drapes,
I want to see him team up with Blue Beetle, and they can fly around and have fun.
Mm-hmm.
But make sure you support what you like. Next week, though, if you didn't jump on this week's bandwagon, you can always do it next week, because next week we got another hodgepodge books coming out. A healthy sum yet again, because we got Aquaman number 39 with his super badass mom on the cover, getting ready to rip some crap up. Arkham Manor number 5, as that one's coming up to a close. I think we got one more issue after that one. Batman number 39, the creepy endgame continues. Batman Eternal number 47. It looks like Hush got out of the Hush aquarium. Uh-oh. Someone didn't feed
someone threw a pebble in the filter.
Catwoman number 39 continues the mob stuff going on there. Deathstroke number 5 with the awkward Batman Deathstroke fight because Harley Quinn set him up. Earth 2 World's End number 21, Gotham Academy number 5. We're getting a little steamy on the cover here.
Uh-oh.
Where that guy that we don't know who he is, the guy that just keeps
the
showing
Twilight
up.
guy that keeps showing up.
Yep. Is making kissy face with Olive on the cover.
Oh.
Kissy face. Gotham by Midnight number 4. This is like your favorite week of
It is,
the
isn't
month.
it? It really is. Yeah.
Justice League Dark number 39. Red Lanterns number 39. I'm trying to figure out how to explain this cover. Guy Gardner is babysitting? I don't know. It's like
Okay.
this baby crawling on the corpses of a bunch of dead people with Guy Gardner standing behind him.
Okay.
Apparently Guy Gardner, not a good babysitter. Oh, baby, you killed all those people. Oh, you're so precocious.
Yeah.
Secret Origins number 10 with Batgirl.
I'm gonna have to read that one. Yeah.
Yep. Sinestro number 10. Star Spangled War Stories featuring G.I. Zombie number 7.
Man, that is our week, isn't it?
It is. It looks like the zombie virus has gotten into a Major League Baseball stadium, and he is just killing a bunch of baseball players. The Flash number 39, being attacked by pterodactyls and other dinosaurs and weird birds in the Speed Force.
Mm-hmm.
And last but not least, New 52, Futures End number 43. So it's your favorite week of the month, pretty much. There's plenty there for us to enjoy. A lot of our fan favorites, at least in this room right now.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it. That will wrap it up, though. If you do want to contact us, you can do so at the following channel.
DCR podcast on the internet?
Yeah, you just type it in and hit search or go or web crawl or whatever it is that you do, and it'll find us. We're kind of
on iTunes, apparently. Then you have to actually type in DC Radio.
I think you could do TCR podcast.
I thought I did, and I got something completely different.
Well, Drunken Confederate Robots.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they have a podcast too, which is very niche.
Yes.
No, I wanted to check that out just from the title alone, honestly. But yeah, make sure you go ahead and contact us if you want to scold me for being all tired. Sorry. Nothing I can do about it this week. You can email us at feedback@dcrpodcast.com as well. But Brian, do you have anything before we take off for this week?
No, nothing fun yet.
We did an hour and a half. That's pretty good for the number of books we have. So everyone, enjoy your books, enjoy your week, enjoy your lives, and hopefully next week we'll have actually well-rested people to do this show.
Yeah.
So bye all. Bye.